Good day, everyone. Welcome to Keep Six Empowerment to Unlock the Justice System. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we have a very, very important conversation with no other than one of Toronto's top lawyers, Jordana Goldlist and Lamar Skeete, who's been incarcerated for a number of years and continue to fight for his freedom. Lamar, thank you for coming. Jordana, thank you also for being here today. It's a pleasure and always to have you on our platform. Let's get started and jump right into this. Jordana, maybe you'd like to start off.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And Lamar, thank you for agreeing. Your case has really, started quite an odyssey, not just for you, but within the legal community. And so your willingness and openness to come and share your experience is really commendable. So I want to start by thanking you for that. How long have you been in jail for, Lamar?
I've been in jail since 2010, so 12 years.
And how old are you now?
I'm 31 years old.
31. And for people who don't know, what are you serving time for?
I'm serving time for a first-degree murder, 25 years to life.
So your case sort of happened in two parts. You had a case that you successfully challenged, and that led to the case that you're currently serving time for. So can you maybe tell us a little bit about the first case that you beat and then segue into sort of the circumstances of your current situation?
Okay. On September 2nd, there was a shooting on Runnymede in St. Clair in 2008. It led to one person being injured, not fatally. There were statements given by the victim, and he said he didn't know who shot him. And sometime in November, he recanted his statement and said that it was my brother and I that shot him. We ended up getting put in secured custody, and 14 months later, I had my charge withdrawn based on the fact that the victim at preliminary hearing actually said that he doesn't even know if I was there. But he still said that my brother shot him. My brother ended up going to the trial for 5 days and getting his charge acquitted. That same victim, unfortunately, ended up dying. And since we were the prime suspects, we got arrested, and I was arrested for first-degree murder.
So how old were you when you were arrested for the attempt murder, the first case?
17 years old.
And how long did you sit in jail for before those charges were withdrawn?
14 months.
So you did 14 months at 17 years old. You came out, and then how long did it take between your charges getting withdrawn and your brother's charges getting acquitted?
5 days. I got my charge withdrawn on Monday, and my brother got acquitted on Friday.
Okay, so your charges were withdrawn right before trial, like just on the eve of trial.
Yes, withdrawn. There was no, the Crown Attorney withdrew my charge.
Right, but that was on the eve of trial.
The eve of trial, I didn't have to stand trial.
Right, but like just before. So you come out, and at this point you're what, 18 years old?
I was 19.
19. And how long is it that you're out before you end up getting arrested on the first-degree murder charges?
30 days.
Wow. So you come out after serving 14 months, and 30 days later, you're picked up again on a first-degree murder with the same victim.
Correct.
Did you have co-accused on the murder case?
I had co-accused.
And have they all been convicted as well, or what's?
One of my co-accused had his charge stayed. They ran my trial before my other co-accused trial, so it was my trial was depending on the outcome of his trial. So they ran a strategic trial that was very biased, unfair, and they got the W in my trial. So when they get the W in my trial, it's automatically W in his trial. So me and him were both convicted, and now I think he's out on the street, and I'm still fighting this situation.
And when we say you're still fighting, so you get you get convicted at the trial level,
Correct.
and then you appealed.
I appeal.
You appealed to the Court of Appeal, of course.
Basically, the biggest factor in my court case is some rap lyrics that were never initially involved in the disclosure. It was new evidence that was put in at the trial, and the rap lyrics became very famous, and it was known across the land. Real niggas don't crack to the coppers, which I told everybody a million times. Coppers means correctional officers in the Ontario and Canadian justice system. Within the jails and the prisons, the inmates referred to the coppers as correctional officers. The rap was a social commentary on the Don jail that got entered into my trial, and it set a very unfair example for trials after mine.
I mean, it did more than set an example in your trial. It set precedent such that
Precedent.
rappers right now are facing trial based on their lyrics. I mean, it's becoming a common trend right now that the police are scouring YouTube to try to find evidence they can use in cases.
I think that they've been doing that in America. I think that when my case came out, it made it a little bit more popular in Canada because people are rapping in Canada now. But one thing I would like to mention is in regards to the attempt murder trial, and them allowing the attempt murder evidence to be played in my trial. Those were legal arguments by my defense counsel at trial that the evidence should not be entered into trial because the victim had not said, "I shot him." My charge was factually withdrawn, and the victim said, "My brother shot him. However, my bro is not standing trial for murder. Therefore, the evidence should be left out and balanced to a degree where the judge allows the jury to hear that me and the victim had history, however, not delved into a court case that I was factually found innocent of." The rap lyrics was just on the forefront of the appeal process, as well as that evidence, as well as the attempt murder. The attempt murder being allowed in my trial was also an argument at my appeal, but the rap lyrics was became more famous because of the raw racism that is so clandestine within the courtroom and the whole big fight against systemic racism, So I just would like to say that.
Absolutely. I mean, this is as much your forum as it is mine. This is your story. So what you think is important and what you'd like to share, people want to hear that, Lamar. So your appeal gets denied, and then you appeal to the Supreme Court of Canada.
Definitely, my appeal was denied, and the Court of Appeals agreed that the trial judge had made an error in entering the rap lyrics. So when I'm going to Supreme Court of Canada, that is not the usual reference. At that juncture, most appeal cases would go back for a new trial when the trial judge erred in law. So this is a special circumstance, and yes, now we go to the Supreme Court of Canada to argue on a national issue.
And what's the status of your situation with the Supreme Court of Canada?
Right now, or what was
Yes.
it?
Is your case still pending before the Supreme Court of Canada?
No, my case is not pending. The Supreme Court of Canada refused to hear the case. So the next step in the legal game would be called a ministerial review, which is based on new evidence and the reliability of that evidence, or evidence that was unavailable or undisclosed at your trial. And the Ministry of Justice will think about opening your case in the Supreme Court of Canada. And it's a very slim chance, but I believe in the Most High, I believe in God, I believe in miracles, and all I can do is fight. With all the injustice that was done to me throughout this process, all I can do is fight, and
And is that a path that you're taking right now?
Definitely.
And I don't know if it's something that you can talk about here, but what's the new evidence?
Basically in 2013, somebody was formally charged for the attempted murder that I was factually found innocent for and withdrawn. So somebody actually got charged for that court case, and it was swept under the rug. When I was talking to my lawyer at the time, his name was Timothy Breen, I told him about 4 times that if he could enter that into my appeal. And he said no. And I said, how is that fair? How could the jury hear about the case that was withdrawn on me? Now my trial lawyers asked for it to be left out. Now somebody gets charged for it. No jury ever heard about this side. Matter of fact, this evidence should have never been in my trial. This was detrimental evidence. This was evidence that the Crown attorney relied on for a conviction, was to speak about the attempt murder matter. The Crown attorney's theory was, it doesn't matter if I'm innocent or guilty, it's the fact that he cooperated with the police. And the defense is saying, that's exactly why you leave it out and just say that he cooperated with the police. And me, I'm innocent. And I've always stood and said, I abide by the code of silence, but I do not enforce the code of silence. I grew up in an area that's full of systemic racism and police brutality and police harassment. So that's just how I came up. However, 1 year after my trial, when somebody is charged for evidence that was in my trial, it just looks super unfair that the courts are ignoring it. And my lawyer was railroading me because he wasn't really doing his job. Right after my case, he got appointed to a judge. After I found that out, after Supreme Court had denied me, after Supreme Court of Canada had refused to listen to the application or listen to my case in the court, I found out that a defense lawyer, an appeal lawyer, can actually enter new evidence into an appeal. What I was told by my lawyer, my appeal lawyer, was that that was not his occupation. It's not my occupation to enter new evidence. It's my occupation to argue the trial judge's errors, which he did a very good job, and the courts agreed with his argument. But he could have did a very better job by entering that evidence. So right now, I'm between a rock and a hard place, just praying to God that we can get this evidence back into the Supreme Court of Canada to reopen back the case, and that God can free me from prison.
And do you have, I'm assuming that process is underway. Do you have any idea how long that might take? Like, do your current lawyers tell you, it's going to be 2 years, 3 years, there's no chance?
Yeah, these things take a while. These things take a while. And at the end of the day, I just have to just stay strong, right? All I'm saying is,
how do you do that? Where do you find that strength in you to keep fighting when, I imagine it feels like at every opportunity, there's a door that's closing on you. Where do you find that inner strength to say, no, I'm not done fighting. I'm going to do everything that I can to keep this going?
God. I trust in God. I trust in my journey. I trust in everything I've been through. I see the changes in myself. I see things that I never thought was possible be done, right? So, especially when it comes to my story, what we're doing right now, sitting down and having this interview, I had visions of this when I got convicted, that, the community will come to my rescue and hear my court case and hear my music and see the change in me, and people will hear my story, and God will free me from prison. If it's just a vision, it could be just a vision, but visions come to life. You know what I'm saying? So this right here is how I know this reaching people and multitudes of people and people hearing my story is going to keep it going and keep it continuing,
Do you still write rap lyrics?
Definitely. I'll never stop rapping.
Did your case have any effect on the way that you write your lyrics? Did it change? Or did you just say, I don't care, you do what you want to me now? I mean, there's nothing else that can be done. You're serving the highest sentence in Canada.
No, definitely, my court case could definitely change the way I view how people view you, But,
How so?
pardon me?
How so?
Yeah, because you know, when you're rapping and talking about certain circumstances, people will not gravitate towards you. When you're talking about positivity, people will gravitate towards you. So me knowing I'm innocent and trying to rap about the jail, I could rap about it in a different way. I was just young at the time and my brain wasn't fully developed. However, this is evidence also that was not supposed to be entered into my trial. So we have to still think about the unfairness done towards me. However, now that I know that there's multitudes of people listening to what I say, I do formulate my lyrics differently.
How do you think that people, especially, other Toronto rappers, should deal with the balance or try to strike that balance between educating people that may not understand the communities you're coming from and rap about really what's around, which is crime, violence, police brutality, harassment, racism? Rap is in part about expressing the frustrations, but also educating the listeners who may not be from that situation. How do you balance that while knowing that there's always that threat that the police can use that expression against the person?
I don't know what the balance is. I couldn't tell you that because it's a very fine line. I know that I'm innocent of my case and that the rhyme that I rhymed had nothing to do with anything to do on the street or anything to do with any form of criminal activity. Now, when it comes to somebody else's court case or somebody else's rap, maybe their rap was about their case. Maybe when they rapped about a street sign or a 45 caliber or a headshot, that it was about that. I can't say that. I can't say that. But I do know that rapping about certain things, the justice system is just going to use anything that they can to pinpoint certain evidence that they want to use against you. And even if you're telling the truth, they could manipulate the situation to work in their benefit. So I can't tell you the balance. I can just tell rappers from Toronto who are rapping and making music of that standard to just know what you're doing and be aware and be mindful. But I'm 31 years old. I rap about different issues and different things that I've been through in life. I don't just only rap about the streets and those things. I haven't been on the streets for 12 years now. So I rap about what I see. I rap about, heartfelt topics that people would like.
What do you think about the disparity between, rappers who have quote unquote made it? Like, Super Bowl, the halftime show this year featured, icons, right? Guys that have been rapping about the street life and crime. And, you go back, Dr. Dre, obviously, like, NWA was all about crimes in their area, what was happening and what was going on with the police. And, you see that, and now you're entertaining the entire world at the biggest sporting event, of the year. So the disparity between rappers who have, quote unquote, made it and have become successful, they can say whatever they want and they're not put on trial for anything in their lyrics. But guys who are still just trying to come up that haven't made it, but they're expressing themselves through rap, are at risk of criminal prosecutions based on their lyrics. The irony is unbelievable. What do you think about that?
I always refer it back to constitutional laws and when you are a rapper, your nickname or your stage name becomes its own character. And certain record labels and certain people, they actually have that written down in a legal document that Jay-Z is separate from Sean Carter. Jay-Z is a character inside Sean Carter. But Jay-Z you won't know who's speaking unless Sean Carter directly tells you who's speaking. But when Jay-Z's rapping, that's Jay-Z. When Meek Mills is rapping, his real name is Robert, but Meek Mills is his stage name that the world knows him by. So it refers back to constitutional laws that they're by law protected from. We're supposed to be protected from those laws too, but the justice system is they're good at finessing and manipulating. So I heard that Jay-Z and Meek Mills are actually right now trying to work on a law in New York to abolish rap lyrics up to court because it's not direct evidence. It has nothing. It has no probative value, if you will. It's really coming from a character that anybody could be living because somebody who lives in the suburbs could say a line about being in the hood and doing whatever he's doing in the hood, who's never ever been to the hood or lived that life before, and he made that lyric all the way in the suburbs. And it's all about a character. He's playing a movie when he's saying it. You know what I mean? Now, at the end of the day, we are real life human beings, mind, body, and soul. So Lamar Skeete, ammo was in Lamar Skeete. When it came out of Lamar Skeete's mouth, real niggas don't crack to the coppers. I can tell you that was ammo spitting that, but that was me. Ammo's inside me. So the courtroom could say Lamar Skeete said that line, which I did. I'll tell everybody I did. I'm not gonna say I didn't say that, and I like saying that. I like rapping live from the dawn because of the way I express myself being inside that environment and how everybody related to me inside that environment. So the disparity between me being in the Don jail and spitting real niggas don't crack to the coppers and Drake spitting ain't no telling, no telling. Drake has a song called Ain't No Telling, and that's Aubrey Graham saying that. And he even says on that same track that he's saying stuff, but he's a character saying stuff protected by constitutional rights. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, like it's just disappointing and unfair that the system's actually allowed to do this, and it's just throwing talent down the drain, you know? But I stay strong in my fight with the system and in my faith in God.
That's really the incredible part of your story, is just how young you have been throughout this entire struggle, and you still have that strength and positivity, where a lot of people, you know, in your situation would have been beaten down by it or become angry and just, you know, a shell of who they were. And you've just kept fighting. You've just stayed strong and focused and want to see this through to the end. It's really amazing.
Basically, like every part of the legal system is a game. So when I see the game getting played, and I started to really tap into that, like, you know, the crown, the judges, even the lawyers thought that my mind frame wasn't up to par because of the color of my skin, you know, that I was in tune with what was going on every time the game was being played. And when I seen the cards, that I always had a card. Like, oh, this is why the legal system is like this. You lose your trial, your appeal is based on this, that, and the third. You might not have a card for this, that, and the third. Supreme Court is based on this, that, and the third. You might not have a card for this, that, and the third. A ministerial review is based on this, that, and the third. You might not have a card, but every time the game goes on, I still have a card that God's still telling me I'm still on your side. But these people resent you so much, and they resent that one day they're gonna have to let you go, but they're just holding on to you. So at the end of the day, everybody knows I had an unfair trial. That's not even a question. Did he have a fair trial? Yes or no? No. You can even ask the crown attorney. She'll say no, or he'll say no. Did he have a fair appeal? Well, the appeal court agreed that the trial judge erred. What does that mean, appeal lawyer? It means that he should be getting a new trial. So why is he going to Supreme Court? What do you go to Supreme Court on? A national issue. Whoa, the biggest issue in North America, rap lyrics being entered into trials. Wow. Yeah, the kid's rap lyrics wasn't supposed to be entered into trial. That's the argument for this whole time. Now it's ministerial review. Is there any new evidence that happened after trial? Oh, well, let's stop talking about the rap lyrics. Let's talk about this attempt murder charge. Yeah, somebody got charged for the attempted murder that was allowed in Mr. Skeete's trial 1 year after his trial. And Mr. Skeete's been telling his defense counsel this. And no one's listening to him. No one is listening to him.
What
You
happened
know?
with that other guy who got charged with the attempt murder? Was he convicted? Is it still going? Do you know?
I think that the courts withdrew his charge after 5 years. After 5 years of him going to court, they withdrew the charge off of him pleading guilty to other charges.
Okay.
So they're just sweeping that under the rug as if it didn't happen, you know? So at the end of the day, all I can do is trust in God, be faithful, be strong, you know? I have a lot of support, people who love me. I know that one day I will walk out of prison a free man. I know that deep down, sincerely in my heart. I see the visions, and yeah, even this here happening right now on Keep Six. Like, who would have known I'll be sitting down with the most sought after lawyer, Jordana Goldlist, speaking to me about my court case, you know, and that already is amazing.
It's honestly, it's been a pleasure. I've been reading about your cases as they've, proceeded through the court, and to be able to meet you and to see the strength you still have is really incredible. Richard, how are we on time? I just want to make sure. I don't know how long the facility's given us.
We're good. I just have one comment to make.
Of course.
And we're speaking about the rap lyrics. And I don't know if anybody remember, but we're going to go back to as far as 1990, when there was Ice Cube had the song Cop Killer.
Yeah.
And I remembered back then when the prosecutors and a lot of politicians and so forth trying to come down to ban that song and so forth. So what Lamar has gone through, it's something that has been going on for decades, and it's just more prominent now, more than coming from NWA back in the 80s or 90s to all the way now in where we are now with other individuals, right? Now, my concern is that how do we go about when it comes to changes? Because we're young people, we're quite aware that in our community, music is an outlet that young people uses. And they find a lot of comfort in it. So where do we draw the line now when it comes to the justice system, or even using a person expressing themselves to connect them to a crime?
Well, I mean, it's still happening. The Court of Appeal just released a decision recently upholding convictions, and part of, for I think it was second-degree murder, and part of the evidence were YouTube videos of the two individuals charged, were showing what the Crown Attorney argued was gang territory and warring beefs, and they use that as evidence in their trial. So it's still happening. I mean, Lamar's case isn't a one-off where everyone stood back and said, "Oh, what we did was wrong. We shouldn't do that again." Quite the opposite. It still continues to this day. And I see it often. I get disclosure and the Crowns are providing, rap lyrics they're going to be attending to use, or they're providing, clips from a YouTube video where people are filming themselves in certain neighborhoods and they're shouting out, other groups, and the Crowns are arguing this is evidence of gang activity.
Right. So Lamar, from your point of view, what advice would you be able to give to youth or individuals in the community who are into the music and their lyrics and so forth?
What advice would I give to them? I would say to, aside from the music, to stay off the path of doing criminal activities regardless. And if you are doing criminal activities, what you're doing directly, you should be careful what you put inside the rap lyrics. You know what I mean? And they could use that against you if they really want to. Going to court in this system is a different type of system. They can do whatever they want, and when they're in that courtroom, they just trap you in and just send you to the penitentiary. So my thing would be to just try to write a positive message. Try to write a positive message inside your rap. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully that in the future things could change, but as you heard Jordana say, it's still going on today. It's going on with me. I'm just telling my story on this platform. So yeah, I would just say to just refrain from that, all of it.
Don't you think though that means the system wins? You know, you've got young men who are coming up that this is the life that they either have experienced or seen or are trying to get away from. And, you know, you look at rock music, you look at alternative music, you look at EDM. I mean, there's messages in all different types of genres, good, bad, and indifferent. And, you know, for a very long time, rock music was all about drugs, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And nobody was getting arrested. You know, no one was put on trial for their lyrics in those genres. You know, the irony is that this is a segment of the population that has been targeted for their artistic expression about what is happening in the community. I mean, how do we reconcile that and not allow the system to continue on what is, you know, arguably a racist attack on creativity?
Well, I can only talk about my situation, you know what I mean? And I get what you're saying, why you would say that means the system wins. No, it doesn't. I'm gonna say this. If you are doing crimes and you're rapping about your crimes, you go to that courtroom and they find you rapping about your crime, joke's on you, because you knew what you were doing and the system got you.
Right.
So the system deserves to win. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but what about people like you that are just putting out lyrics based on what you're seeing around you? You're not rapping about your crimes, but you know that your lyrics are being used against you to prosecute you for crimes.
That's what I mean. Now that's what I mean. I'm speaking on my situation now.
Right.
Because that is unfair. The system shouldn't win for that. Let's find a balance. The guy that was really guilty, who the system got his raps, and he rapped about killing the person, and he rapped about a 45, and they found a 45 in his house, and he rapped about the gruesome stuff, and the family had to hear that in the courtroom. The system wins, buddy. My situation, system doesn't win. You guys know you were wrong. You know you were wrong, and look at all the stuff that happened after the kid's trial. Look how strong the kid is. The system doesn't win. And guess what? Even if the system doesn't let me out, them hearing my passion and you guys allow me to project this on this platform, it's gonna hurt them inside. And that is a win for me. That's God's victory. You know what I'm saying? So the system doesn't win ever. When it's not fair, it will always come back. And I'll just stand up and be quiet and let God fight for me. You know what I'm saying?
So, Lamar, I have one question to ask you there. On your jury, did you have an all-white jury?
Yeah, it was mostly white. And I had no black people on my jury. Correct. I have no black people on my jury.
So the reason I asked that is because I found some information when I was doing a little bit of research prior to this interview. And the information outlined that the demographic makeup of jury also figured into the at least one study suggests that all white juries are more likely to convict a black defendant and white ones than white. And another implies that prosecutors attempt to exclude younger people from the jury pool, all of which plays into the way in which older white jurors relate to rappers, many of whom are young, urban, and black.
Correct. Yeah, that goes back to because of the culture of where we're from in Canada, in America, North America in general. You know, you have white America, white Canada, and then black America, black Canada, which is like the hood, the neighborhood. So the music is coming out of the neighborhoods that have crime, violence, and you know, it's the stuff being promoted. So obviously there's racism involved in it. So when they hear the music, it's just gonna automatically make them stain. It's like, oh, you're a rapper? Oh, that's where you're from? Those guys are beneath us. That place is beneath us. You know what I mean? So I didn't have no black people on my jury. And that was why my lawyers were so devastated when the rap lyrics were getting entered into the trial. But one thing I can say though, is that the trial judge did say, if we could prove to him that the word copper was translated as correctional officers in this matter, that he would leave the evidence out. And when we did prove to him, because it's a 3-part rap, so we went through all the raps with him, we proved it to him, but because he knew that the jury was gonna stain me when they heard it, he threw it in. So that was a big major factor because it was an all-white jury and that they wouldn't understand the culture of anything to do with rap lyrics. All they're gonna hear is swearing and feel like I'm glorifying violence, that they were gonna look at me as a bad person, you know?
Very unfortunate. Jordana, with you yourself, who you deal with a lot of murder cases yearly on a daily basis or monthly. Now, in situations like these, how do you feel best that as a defense lawyer, what advice would you give to a defendant or even to someone that's in the rap industry?
So, I mean, the advice I give is very similar to what Lamar said. Don't rap about your crimes. Don't take pictures of your crimes. Don't put, yourself out on social media posing with illegal guns, drugs, stacks of money. All of this plays out in the courtroom. So, I give similar advice. There was always a reluctance to talk and put yourself out in the open when you're doing things that you're not supposed to. And the reality is the powers of policing right now have increased exponentially, even in the last 10 or 12 years, right? Police are now able to track people's phones. Police are able to use, audio probes in people's cars where you don't even know that they're able to listen to the conversations you're having in your cars. Video surveillance. I just got a case out of Niagara where the police were using drones to hone in on suspected drug transactions. So they're sitting, I don't even know how far away they are, but they're literally using a drone to follow people and record suspected hand-to-hands. So the power of policing has increased so much, and they're using social media in an effort to prosecute. So I think people just need to be aware of what is happening and adjust themselves accordingly. And I agree with Lamar's comments. I mean, if you're out committing crimes and then you're rapping about those very same crimes and you're recording videos and putting them out on YouTube, which everyone, including all police officers, have access to, you can't be surprised when that evidence shows up in your court case. I struggle with the idea when people like Lamar are rapping about their frustrations and their complaints about, social inequities and what's happening in their communities and just the struggle that when that is ending up in court cases, we as a society have a problem, because I think that, there's so few outlets that some young men have access to. Rap is one of them, right? We're talking about communities, and Richard, the work that we've done with Keep Six is based on a lack of community resources that give men other outlets to channel these frustrations. And so when you have something like a musical outlet that doesn't cost anything, you get up there and you unleash your frustrations through your lyrics. When we're doing something to silence that, as horrific as the threat of criminal prosecutions and jail for an inordinate amount of time, if not the rest of your life, we as a society have a problem. I think we need to figure out a way to scale that back.
And I agree with you. And this week, just a little bit off topic here. This week, I had an opportunity to be at the House of Commons to sit on a committee regarding gun violence and the organization and our program, Gangs for Tuition. And I had a question that was directed or asked. And the question was, we have $1 billion to use towards gun buyback. And how do we at Keep Six feel that money could be used in our community? And my response to that was, I felt the money should be used to address trauma in our community and the youth, also education. And the other thing was trades, because we're in an environment right now where the youth themselves don't feel that they have support, but there's so much trauma from issues that our youth are facing or gone through, and they're not overcoming these traumas, and it's escalating into getting them into this prison and filling up the prison. And until we're able to look at issues from within and address them and give them that support they need, we're in the same boat.
Yeah, I mean, there's an organization called Lifted by Purpose, and they run a group that's trauma-informed therapy through music, and they use music in order to help people connect with their emotions and express themselves through their emotions. So, music therapy has been around for decades. So if this is a genuine therapeutic form of release, how can we possibly then cap it, when people are speaking out about the very issues that they're experiencing in their community? I mean, I think that's when I was asking earlier about how do we strike the appropriate balance, like there has to be a balance there without having such a chilling effect that we're taking yet another coping mechanism away from people who are so desperately in need of it.
Right. And Lamar, for you right now, I mean, you've been staying pretty positive for 12 years now. I know the challenges that, life brings, but for you yourself, what exactly, you must have some sort of an outlet. And I know you're limited for what you have there in your condition. But how do you manage? Like, give me an insight for you.
Support, my support system, definitely my music, the platform to be able to speak on positive things going around, you know what I'm saying? Me trying to change the future of the children. Yeah.
So in where you are, I know that some of the institutions do have a music studio. Are you accessible to music studio where you are?
Yeah, not in the max right now, but yeah, some institutions have a music room, but I heard that a lot of them are shut down right now because of COVID. But even if I don't have a music room or something, I can always spit a rap over the phone or to my buddies on the range to just feel the vibes or listen to somebody else's rap to just feel the vibes, you know?
Yeah, I remember those days on the range. It's one person is holding the beat on the windowsill or on the bunk, and the other one spitting the lyrics. But it was
Definitely a
entertainment.
culture. It's a culture.
What's that?
Yeah.
It's definitely a culture.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's amazing. I'm so privileged to be able to, have this conversation with you and be able to be a part to, to give you the support and just to give you the outlet to be a voice to other people. And I really hope that a lot of people in our community be able to get something from this interview here today and be able to hear Lamar. I mean, this is our first time interviewing someone that's sitting in a federal prison. Actually, no, we did one before Jordana. You did the other one in the United States. So this is our second
Jay
time.
Burton.
Jay
That's right.
Burton, that's
We
right.
tried to
Yeah,
have Lamar on, but the connection was horrible. We couldn't, that would have been an interesting cross conversation with the two of you, but the
right.
technology wasn't on our side that day. So I'm glad we were certainly able to set this one up.
Definitely. It's
Thank you
really
very
good. Lamar, what powerful word or advice you would have to give to everyone out there listening to you right now?
Everybody just stay positive, trust in God, trust in a higher power, trust in what you trust in. I'm not bestowing my beliefs on you. And just be a good person no matter what happens in life. And stand on your beliefs and stand on your truth. And the good will come back around in this lifetime or in the next. Blessed is the Most High.
Thank you so much.
I love that. Stand on your truth. I love it.
Very,
It's been a
very,
pleasure.
very good. Very good. Jordana,
Yes.
I personally want to say thank you so much for the support and thank you for the work you do. And I wish that there was another 10,000 lawyers like a Jordana Goldlist out there
Thank you. Thank
because
you.
I
No,
am,
I appreciate that. You know that I've been supporting what Keep Six has done for a very long time, and it's just a much needed voice in the community. And to be able to share that voice and give the mic over to people like Lamar who can help both, motivate your community, but also educate people who don't understand. And there's a lot of people who don't understand the struggle. And I think until you have the support of the like an extended community, we're not going to see change. So Lamar, I can't say it enough. Thank you for being so honest and open and sharing your story with us. It's huge.
And thank you for having me and thank you for allowing me to share my story and show bits and pieces of of what I've been through and my mind frame as it is from 19 to as it is right now. Thank you.
It's amazing. Thank
And
you.
Lamar, Keepsakes
Yes,
has
sir.
a music program that's going to be launching very, very soon from March. We're hoping that one day you can have some lyrics there that we can maybe hear you spit over the phone, and we can put it up on our program, and that inspire other young people out there.
Anything for Keep Six, anything for Keep Six. Whenever that's going on, I'll have the lyrics for you to put it on the platform for the younger generation to hear some scriptures.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, folks, we're coming to the end of this interview, and it's been wonderful again. This has been something that we feel very strongly that the community needs to hear a voice directly, and it's my pleasure to be able to be a part of this, to Lamar, to be able to have you here, and most of all, to have someone like Jordana take the time out to be able to be talking with you today, and also for me to be talking with her. We know how busy she is, and it's a pleasure. Our hat goes off to you, Jordana. Lamar, stay strong. Don't give up the fight, because I lived it myself at one time, and I know what it's like. So I'm able to do what I can to support individuals like yourself, and hopefully get your voice be heard. But also, I'd love for one day to be able to see you on the other side of the fence, where you can be a part of the community, and give some your lived life experience to the community. 'Cause that's what we need now, is lived life experience from individuals.
Blessed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And Jordana,
Thank
I'll
you.
just give you the last minute to say any last word you'd like to say.
I think I've said it. I thank Keep Six for putting this on, for helping to educate people, for helping to give a voice to those who otherwise may not have a platform in the community. It's one thing for Lamar to share his story with the people around him. It's a whole other thing for others that are outside to understand the struggle and the focus to stay positive, and to hear, words of wisdom from someone who's living the fight right now. So I truly thank you both.
Thank you. Lamar, stay up, man. Peace. Thanks.
You guys
Thanks,
take care.
everybody.
Thank
guys
you.
take care. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
All right.
Lamar. You take care.